Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
At Forrester, Brooke complains to Ridge about Deacon saying he's back with Sheila. She was really hoping it was over, and she'd be out of his life for good. Ridge can't understand why Taylor would suggest he take her back. Brooke sniffs. She talked to him about the power of remission. Down in the exchange, Remy cries his justifications to Elektra and promises he's not that Joe presently. He has an awful life with Deke and doesn't want to lose it. Deke can't believe what he's hail, so everyone chimes in to confirm the deep fake buff. Remy demurs he was meddled up back also. I'm so shamed. He'll do anything to get Elektra's remission. Elektra hisses about how he tortured her. I'll no way forgive you. After a speech to Remy, Elektra tells Deke he's a good Joe, but now he knows the verity about his swain, who isn't. Deke runs out with Remy hot on his heels. What's Sheila's big idea? At home, Sheila tells Deacon she wouldn't let him down again. Sure, Jan. He's sure they've good effects ahead. They bandy meeting Deke's swain. Cleric hopes he'll bring him by the eatery after the party at Forrester. Talk turns back to their marriage, and Deacon's startled to hear that Sheila paid Taylor a visit. Telling him commodity he easily has formerly discovered, Sheila declares that the psychiatrist is a remarkable woman. Deacon says he came back because he loves her and it was the right thing to do. Out of the blue, Sheila says she hopes to be by his side at Hope and Liam's marriage. What will Beth tell Bill? At Brooke's place, Beth and Liam explain marriage plans to Bill, who learns she's going to officiate. Beth tells her forefather there isn't a date yet, and he teases, "Do I get an invite?" She chides him and they clinch. Bill tells Liam he's proud of him reuniting his family. The final scenes. In the Forrester exchange, Elektra, Will, Katie and Daphne ejaculate over the whim-whams of Remy to walk right in there knowing what response he'd get. Elektra declares for the umpteenth time in the occasion, that she'll no way be a victim again. Meanwhile, over in the design office, Remy tries to get through to Deke. He's the stylish thing that's ever happened to him and brought him out of a really dark place. Please, just let me explain. In the main office, Ridge is sick of talking about Deacon and Sheila, so he and Brooke recap how they made up, and kiss. At Brooke's place, with impeccable timing, Beth informs her parents that there's someone she doesn't want at the marriage. Someone who makes her feel weird. Sheila. At that veritably moment, Sheila tells Cleric they can go to Hope's marriage with Deke and his swain. What better way to solidify that they're back together and stronger than ever? In the design office, Remy's voice cracks as he tries to do damage control with Deke. He was hysterical he'd lose him. They're erecting a life together, so he can't give up on him. Remy will tell him whatever he wants to know, but he's prayer with him not to judge him by who he was, but love him for who he's now. The air in the Forrester Creations executive office was thick with the cloying scent of expensive perfume and fresh discontent. Brooke Logan, a woman whose life had been a tapestry of grand passions and devastating betrayals, paced before the panoramic window overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. Each click of her heels on the polished marble floor was a staccato beat of her frustration. I just don't understand it, Ridge, she lamented, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and profound disappointment. Deacon. Back with Sheila. After everything. After the fire, the prison sentences, the psychological warfare. I was so sure, so hopeful, that chapter was finally closed. That she would be out of his life, out of all our lives, for good. Ridge Forrester, leaning against his massive desk, arms crossed over his broad chest, emitted a low grunt. His expression was a familiar mask of impatience and simmering fury. The mere mention of Sheila Carter's name was enough to set his every nerve ending on fire. The man's a fool. Always has been. He has a self-destructive streak a mile wide, and Sheila is his personal wrecking ball. Brooke stopped her pacing, turning to face him, her eyes pleading for an answer he couldn't possibly give. But why? After all the progress he's made, rebuilding his relationship with Hope, running the restaurant, to throw it all away for her? It's like watching someone willingly walk back into a burning building. Ridge shook his head, his gaze darkening as his thoughts shifted. What I can't wrap my head around is Taylor. My Taylor. The voice of reason, the celebrated psychiatrist. She actually sat down with Deacon and suggested he take her back? What in God's name was she thinking? A bitter, knowing sniff escaped Brooke. She straightened the cuff of her blouse, a gesture of forced composure. Oh, I can tell you exactly what she was thinking. She talked to him about the power of forgiveness. She infused the phrase with a heavy dose of sarcasm, making it sound less like a virtue and more like a weapon. She's always seen the world through that pristine, clinical lens. But some things, Ridge, some people, are beyond forgiveness. They exist in a realm where forgiveness isn't grace, it's naivete. It's a loaded gun handed back to the shooter. Down in the soaring, minimalist expanse of the Forrester showroom, a very different kind of confrontation was unfolding, one where the threats were emotional rather than physical, but no less devastating. The air, usually buzzing with the quiet hum of commerce and creativity, was now charged with a palpable, painful electricity. Remy, his face a contorted map of shame and desperation, stood before Electra. The elegant mannequins clad in $1,000 outfits seemed like silent, judgmental witnesses. Electra, please, he begged, his voice cracking under the weight of his own history. You have to believe me. I am so sorry. The man who did those things to you, that's not who I am anymore. I was lost. I was messed up, drowning in my own self-loathing, and I took it out on you in the most vile, unforgivable way. Across from him, Electra stood rigid, her arms wrapped tightly around herself as if physically holding the pieces of her composure together. Her eyes, usually sparkling with sharp intelligence, were now hard chips of flint. Unforgivable is the right word, Remy. You don't get to just say sorry and wash away the torment. The deep fakes, those disgusting, fabricated nudes you circulated to destroy my reputation, do you have any idea what that did to me? Deke, Remy's boyfriend, stood slightly to the side, his face a canvas of stunned confusion. He looked from Remy, the man he loved, the man who had brought light and stability into his life, to Electra, his friend and colleague, whose pain was so raw and real. I can't believe what I'm hearing, Deke stammered. Remy? This can't be true. He wasn't left to wonder. From the periphery, their friends, Will, Katie, Daphne, stepped forward, their expressions a chorus of grim confirmation. It's true, Deke, Will said, his voice low and serious. We were there. We saw what he did. We saw what it did to Electra. The confirmation was a physical blow. Deke took a half step back. The foundation of his wonderful, stable life with Remy cracking apart beneath his feet. I'm so ashamed, Remy whispered, the words barely audible. He was crumbling in real time, the polished, confident facade he presented to the world shattering to reveal the broken man beneath. I will do anything, Electra. Anything to earn your forgiveness. But forgiveness was the last thing on Electra's mind. A bitter, mirthless laugh escaped her lips. Forgiveness, she hissed, the word a venomous dart. You think this is about forgiveness? This is about the months I spent looking over my shoulder, the friends I lost because of your lies, the feeling of being violated in a way I didn't even know was possible. You systematically tormented me. You tried to erase me. And you think an apology, years too late, can fix that? She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a lethal whisper. I will never forgive you. Not ever. The finality in her tone was absolute. It was a door slamming shut and bolting closed. She then turned her gaze to Deke, and her expression softened, but only with a profound pity. Deke, you're a good guy. One of the best. But now you know the truth about your boyfriend. The real truth. And he is not. That was the final shove. With a strangled sound, Deke turned on his heel and ran, pushing through the glass doors of the showroom and out into the bright, uncaring daylight. For a moment, there was a stunned silence, broken only by Electra's ragged breath. Then, with a cry of anguish, Remy took off after him, his own world collapsing as he chased the man he was terrified to lose. In the surprisingly warm, cluttered comfort of the apartment above Il Giardino, a different kind of performance was underway. This one was a duet of delusion and desperate hope. Sheila Carter moved about the kitchen with a disconcerting semblance of domesticity, while Deacon Sharp watched her, his expression a complex blend of love, worry, and a lingering, deeply buried fear. "I won't let you down again, Deacon. I promise you that," Sheila said, her voice dripping with a saccharine sincerity that felt as authentic as a $3 bill. She placed a hand over her heart, her eyes wide with earnest conviction. "Sure, Jan," a cynical voice in the back of any sane observer's mind would have whispered. Deacon, ever the optimist when it came to his own capacity for redemption, wanted to believe her. He needed to believe her. "I know you won't, Sheila. We've been to hell and back, both of us. But we're here. We're together. And I really believe we have good things ahead of us." They fell into a discussion about meeting Deke's boyfriend, Remy. Deacon, ever the proud father and restaurateur, was hopeful. "I'm hoping he'll bring him by the restaurant after the party at Forrester. I'd like to meet the guy who's been making my son so happy." As the conversation meandered back to the fragile state of their own reunion, Sheila, with the precision of a master chess player making a surprise move, casually dropped a bombshell. "You know, I paid Taylor Hayes a visit the other day." Deacon nearly choked on his coffee. "You what?" "Sheila, why? After everything her family has put you through." A slow, knowing smile spread across Sheila's lips. "I needed to understand. And telling you something you've clearly already discovered for yourself, that woman is a remarkable woman. So insightful. So forgiving." Deacon shifted uncomfortably. "I came back to you because I love you, Sheila. It's as simple and as complicated as that. And it felt like the right thing to do." He was trying to convince himself as much as her. Then, out of the blue, as if suggesting a trip to the grocery store, Sheila voiced her grand ambition. "You know what I hope? I hope to be by your side at Hope and Liam's wedding. As your wife. Supporting our family." Across town, in the sun-drenched, tastefully decorated living room of Brooke's house, a different family meeting was taking place. This one was bathed in the warm, hopeful light of a new beginning. Beth Spencer, a young woman who had already endured a lifetime's worth of drama, was excitedly explaining the preliminary wedding plans to her grandfather, Bill Spencer. "And the most exciting part," Beth announced, her face glowing, "is that I'm going to officiate. I got certified online." Bill, leaning back in his chair, a whiskey in hand, chuckled, a genuine, warm sound. "Is that right? My granddaughter, the judge. I like it. So, when's the big day? And do I get an invite, or am I still on the naughty list?" Beth playfully swatted his arm. "Grandfather. Be serious. There isn't a date yet, we're still in the early planning stages. But of course you're invited." She moved in for a hug, a gesture of pure, unconditional love that still had the power to soften the hardest edges of the notorious Bill Spencer. He turned his gaze to Liam, who was watching the interaction with a soft smile. "I'm proud of you, son," Bill said, his voice uncharacteristically gruff with emotion. "Putting this family back together, giving Beth the stability she deserves, it's everything. It's what matters." Back in the Forrester showroom, the storm had passed, leaving behind a mess of emotional wreckage. Electra was surrounded by a protective circle of Will, Katie, and Daphne. "The nerve of him!" Daphne exclaimed, her hands on her hips. "To just walk right in here, knowing we all know what he did." Will shook his head in disgust. He knew exactly what reaction he'd get. It's a form of manipulation. He's trying to force his way back into the narrative. Electra, having reclaimed her strength, stood tall. Her voice was steady, resonant with a hard-won conviction. "He can try. But I meant what I said. I will never be a victim again. Not to him, not to anyone. That chapter is closed." Meanwhile, up in the secluded quiet of the design office, Remy was fighting for his future. He had cornered a distraught Deke, who stood with his back to him, staring out at the city as if it held an answer. "Deke, please, just listen to me," Remy pleaded, his voice raw and fractured. "You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. You have to believe that. Before you, I was in a really dark place. A place I never want to go back to. You brought me into the light. You showed me what a real, healthy love could be. Please, just let me explain." In the main office, Ridge had finally had his fill of the day's drama. "I am so sick of talking about Deacon and Sheila," he declared, running a hand over his face. He turned to Brooke, pulling her into his arms, seeking solace in the one constant his tumultuous life had ever known. "Let's talk about us. About how we found our way back to each other. That's the only story that matters." Brooke melted into his embrace, the worries about her ex-husband momentarily forgotten. "We did, didn't we?" she murmured, lifting her face to his. Against all odds. Their kiss was a baptism of its own, a washing away of the day's anger and threats, a reaffirmation of their own complicated, enduring bond. But the respite was brief. Back at Brooke's house, with an impeccable, almost cosmic sense of timing, Beth's cheerful expression turned serious. "Mom, Dad, there's something I need to say about the wedding. There's someone I really, really don't want there." Liam and Hope exchanged a concerned glance. "Who, honey?" Hope asked gently. Beth's small nose wrinkled in distaste. "Sheila. She makes me feel weird. And scared. I don't want her anywhere near our special day." At that very moment, in the apartment above the restaurant, Sheila was laying out her plan to Deacon. "Think about it," she said, her eyes gleaming with sinister calculation. "We can go to Hope's wedding with Deke and his boyfriend. All of us together. A united front. What better way to show everyone, the Forresters, the Logans, the Spencers, that we are back together, that we are a family, and that we are stronger than ever?" It was a chilling parallel. In one home, a child's innocent plea for safety. In another, a predator's scheme to invade and desecrate. The battle lines for the soul of the wedding were being drawn. And in the design office, Remy's voice broke completely as he made his final, desperate appeal to Deke. "I was afraid. I was so terrified that if you knew who I used to be, you'd look at me the way you're looking at me now, and I'd lose you. We're building a life together, Deke. A real one. I can't. I won't give up on that. I will tell you anything you want to know. I will answer every question, no matter how painful. But please, I'm begging you, don't judge me by the broken man I was. Please, try to love me for the man I am now. The man you helped me become." The pleas hung in the air, unanswered. Across the city, promises were made, threats were simmered upon, and forgiveness was both begged for and violently denied. The baptism of new beginnings was being threatened by the ghosts of the past, and the encouraging words of love were being drowned out by the echoes of angry threats and the chilling silence of withheld grace. The stage was set, not for a simple wedding, but for a war fought over the very meaning of family, forgiveness, and the terrifying price of the past.